My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my ranking of Bong Joon-ho's filmography from worst to best. And this video will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But Bong Joon-ho is an interesting filmmaker, but at the same time, I do find him to be a little overrated. So let's begin by talking about his worst movie, and it's easily Okja. It's not even close. This is the only movie of his I really don't like, and the big reason why is because the story, the characters, and the themes are all about the evils of the meat industry. And I'm just going to be honest, I don't give a shit. I don't. I really do not. It felt very misguided and manipulative in the way it approached its themes, and I thought it was a real drag. The only redeeming aspect of this movie is Jake Gyllenhaal's performance. He is so over the top and funny and weird, and he's just stole each and every moment of this movie. So, really shitty movie, but great Jake Gyllenhaal performance. The second worst movie of his is The Host. And it's not a bad movie, it's effective enough, and I do like the climax, but the movie still isn't anything new. Like, it feels like any virus outbreak movie. It feels like any zombie movie. And on top of that, it is way too long. Like, this movie should have been a title 90 minutes, and the movie is filled with terrible CGI. And it just constantly took me out of the movie time and time again. So I do like some of what this movie is trying to do. I just feel like the execution should have been so much better. His third worst movie is Snowpiercer. And I do like this one. I do like the world building. I like how it uses the class system of a train and compares it to the class system of real life. It's pretty smartly written, I would say. I think there is some cool action here. I think Chris Evans does a great job, especially one scene where he talks about something that he did once, which is just a gut-wrenching moment. I thought Tilda Swinton did a really great job as well. I like how weird this movie can be, and it does have some cool action scenes. The the got no bullets scene is so incredibly tense and thrilling, and I just loved that moment. But it's too long. It's over 2 hours. It should have been an hour and 40 minutes. The final act of this movie just drags on forever, and I don't buy the ending. Like, early in the movie, somebody stuck their arm out of a train and it falls solid. And now we're being told that it's not actually cold outside. Yeah, bullshit. So I still like lots of this movie. I think it's a fun watch. Just should have been shorter. But my fourth favorite Bong Joon-ho movie is Mickey 17. And this movie is frustrating because I went in with low expectations, and I was surprised at how much I loved the first two acts, only to be disappointed by the last act. Like, the first two acts of this movie are actually really smart. I love how this movie explores mortality and the feel of being replaced, and how you're just viewed as expendable in the eyes of your favorite celebrity. You're viewed as expendable by your boss, and how that affects how you view yourself. There is plenty of depth here, and I thought the tone was so interesting. Like, this is a very unique feeling movie, and it's quite funny. But the last act just completely dropped the ball for me. Like, this movie was about Mickey 17 and Mickey 18 and this multiples mishap, but then it starts focusing on these alien creatures, and I did not give a shit. I just didn't. It felt like this movie wanted to be Starship Troopers, it wanted to be Okja, but it just didn't feel like a proper continuation of Mickey 17. There's this one girl who's been set up for so much of the movie, and she just ends up doing nothing. Naomi Aki's character is pushed completely to the side. Stephen Yeun's character isn't given much to do in this final act. And then it starts focusing on Mark Ruffalo's character too much, and I felt the handling of each character was just baffling in the end. And Mickey 18's sacrifice, I thought it was a very ineffective plot beat. And it just didn't work for me. I thought the last act was way too messy. And the ending is way too neat. And I'm not a fan of some of the liberal bullshit in this movie. The moments where it's mocking fellowship, it's mocking prayer, and I'm not a Christian, but it just felt in bad taste. But Robert Pattinson is fantastic in this movie. He really is. It's not going to happen, but this is an Oscar-worthy performance. Mark Ruffalo, I'm a conservative, and I found his take on not Trump to be very funny. I thought Stephen Yeun was great. Naomi Aki was great as well. And there are some really sweet moments here. So the movie is a bit of a mess. But I still love so much of this movie, and I do think it's going to sit well with me. So that's why it's number 4. My third favorite Bong Joon-ho movie is Mother. And I don't want to say too much because I feel like people haven't seen this one, but it is compelling, and it is a very thoughtful movie about how far would a mom go to protect her son. What would you do in this scenario? And I just thought there was plenty to the story and to the characters, and I found it to be a very interesting movie. And Kim Hye-ja's performance is really fantastic. So if you haven't seen this one, I definitely recommend you give it a try. And my second favorite movie of his is Memories of Mordor. And this movie does kind of remind me of Zodiac because it's about the obsession with this case and a mix of Prisoners because it's about how far you're willing to go to get your answers. How morally corrupt are you willing to get? And I just thought those elements made for a very fascinating movie. The case is actually quite engaging, and the ending to this movie is just perfect. I also think this movie is incredibly well shot. The performances are great. And there's one scene where somebody gets hit by a nail, and that scene really stays with me. So this is one you should definitely watch if you haven't seen it. But like my favorite is obviously Parasite. I thought this movie was very unpredictable and I love how it evolves throughout. Like once you think you've got the movie figured out, it pulls the rug from underneath and it goes in a completely different direction. And the brilliant thing about this movie is that it all feels cohesive. It feels like a really well thought out movie, and there is so much depth here about class, and I just found it to be a very interesting movie. It's entertaining and like great while you're watching it, but it only gets better the more you sit with it. I thought the movie was tense at times, it was funny, and the performances are fantastic. The movie is incredibly well made. My only complaint is it does feel a little too long. That final scene just drags ever so slightly, but I still consider this movie to be a masterpiece, and I don't know if Bong Joon-ho is ever going to top it. So that's why Parasite is my favorite movie of his. But what's your ranking of Bong Joon-ho's filmography? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin,